As much as I love the Kalos region, Pokemon X and Y are infamously underdeveloped and surrounded by lost potential. Whether we're talking about Zygarde, Southern Kalos, lost Mega Pokemon, or the lack of a post-game, the Kalos region could have been so much more. And now, in the most recent Game Freak data breach, we have learned so much about the development of X and Y, including never-before-seen Pokemon and Mega Evolutions. This region honestly could have been twice as big as what we got. So what we're going to do today is compile everything we have learned about Game Freak's intentions for the Kalos region and discover what was intended to be in Pokemon X and Y. A lot of this stuff could have possibly been for a lost sequel game like X2, Y2, maybe a Z version. And of course, all of this information that we're going to be reviewing today could potentially be revealed in Pokemon Legends ZA. Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. My name is DustyGogoat. Today I'm also joined by the LumiosePost.
Hello.
And SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
How you guys doing today?
Dude, I'm excited. We're talking Kalos.
Yes.
We're talking Kalos. I found out my favorite game was Murdered.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. X and Y, there's so much. There's, since inception, since we have been playing X and Y 10 years ago, right? We've always known there to be so much missing content. And in recent years, we have learned a lot more about the development, about the concepts behind X and Y. These are, we've learned so much about the intentions of the Game Freak creators. Things that, to their standards, if they had more time for development, these things could have been in the original X and Y, or possibly a Pokemon Z game. And I think as we look forward to Pokemon Legends ZA, I'm really excited to see if any of this stuff, kind of carries out, right? Or is maybe included in future Kalos titles. But yeah, Lumi, take it away, dude. Let's we got a lot to cover today.
Okay, so we actually did a full breakdown on the Pokemon. There were tons of cut Pokemon designs, there were old designs for Bebe that weren't used. We covered all that in a video, so definitely check that out so you see the full analysis of it. We're not going to be breaking it down here. But there are scrap Pokemon, so you could, play around with the idea of, if you're revisiting Kalos, does Game Freak go, hey, we had these really cool ideas for some Pokemon in Kalos. Do we want to bring one or two back? I don't know that they do that. I didn't
even think about that. That'd be awesome.
I love the peanuts so much. So,
the peanuts really good.
I'm gonna take a sip of my copium here and hope,
Yeah, group copium, shot of
copium. I have no drink.
Oh yeah.
Dig it.
Oh yeah. I told the barista, put in an extra shot of copium in this one.
And I think like all beta Pokemon, like all scrapped concepts, a lot of these ideas do get reworked into future designs. But I do think there's some designs here that have never been touched on. I look at this stupid little fish. I look at this Firebird.
Cassowary.
Yep,
Cassowary definitely has not been used.
I've heard someone say it's not a Cassowary and that it's actually something else.
Well, of course.
I'm pretty sure it literally translates on the top to Cassowary, but I'm not.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Well, I can't read Japanese. And then also and then I think the peanut as well are these are totally unique designs, and I would not be surprised if they get brought in. I don't know. I mean, is that something we've ever seen, like a brand new Pokemon in a spin-off game? We've seen a lot of forms, new members of groups,
Legends? Because in Legends
isn't a spin-off though.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is like a non-new generation game.
Technically.
We got all kinds of evolutions.
I mean, if you look at
we've gotten
Sun and Ultra Moon, it wasn't a new gen. You have Blacephalon, Stakataka. You look at, if you want to be technical, DLC alone, right? Giving us Ogerpon and Urshifu,
That's well, the DLC. I mean, I would count. So I guess
Let's Go gave us Meltan.
Yeah, but again, I look at those as legendaries, and I'm like, they sprinkle those in. I'm not defying anything. I think what I'm trying to imagine is okay, well, how if we're playing Legends ZA, how could they give us brand new Pokemon that have nothing to do with prior Pokemon? And I guess what they could do is, if it's a different time period, I guess those things could just be around, and maybe they go extinct or whatever.
Well, and you have to think too, for one, they didn't give us new Pokemon like Stakataka or Meltan. They didn't give us those things mid-gen. They started doing that. So even though they maybe haven't given us just a random new line in a new game that wasn't a new gen, they always could, And then on top of that too, you do have the fact that if there's any region that they would revisit and add Pokemon to the dex of, would it not be Kalos? Because Kalos has 73 Pokemon in its dex, like brand new Gen 6 Pokemon. It's 73. That is the lowest of any new generation.
Yeah, man,
so
I'm with
like
you.
if there's a region that deserves it, it's that. You also Black 2 and White 2, that's a game that's set only 2 years after Black and White, and you have an influx of Pokemon appearing that didn't before. You know, now all of a sudden I can find wild hippopotas in the desert of Unova, and I couldn't 2 years ago. So no matter when this is set, like, you know, if it's set far in the past, obviously Legends proves the decks can be different. But honestly, guys, even if this thing's set like a few years after X and Y, 2 years, Unova completely changes. Why can't after 2, 3, 5, 10, 50... XY really changed.
And they just and you can just explain that by being like either like here's a slightly new location that you didn't have access to, or like I feel like we see so many iterations of Pokemon games and it's like, oh, why could you not encounter it? Well, it just wasn't coded in the game, but it's always been there. Like you know, it's always been there, right? Like you watch the anime and there's like so many Pokemon where they don't appear in the video games. So they
well, and they also they
cool.
treat it. They even treat it like they always try to treat it like it's always existed, you know? Like when they introduced Electivire, they didn't go, oh, Electabuzz has never been able to evolve until now. They kind of just acted like, oh, Electabuzz has always been able to evolve. You just haven't seen it, you know?
And another thing, I mean, okay, so that's all the brand new Pokemon that have not been, ever brought into or like the fold as a real Pokemon. But there's also like these like beta versions of Pokemon that we know and love, and
those just won't ever see the light of day.
I mean, couldn't they as Megas, though? Couldn't they go Mega Florges and take some inspiration?
Or regional form? Maybe not for Legends ZA, I guess, but, like, I could see another form, right?
Sure. And I mean, that Flamingo looks like it could be a Flamigo evolution or a Spritzy evolution if they wanted it to be.
Or I could see
I was just thinking about, like, how could any of these, like, be implemented into future games?
Third stage Aromatisse.
Yeah. So, like, that could be an Aromatisse thing or a Flamigo thing.
So cool, man. I want the peanut.
The peanut would have to be its own new thing, I think. But the evolution looks like Breloom so much that you're just like,
It's convergent.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could... If they made
rework the peanut to make it more Shroomish-like.
Yeah, make it fatter, I guess.
No, like that would ruin it. This thing right now is literally S tier.
I agree, but they would have to change it. Like they would.
Well, yeah, and the fact of the matter is too, like, if it ain't in ZA, if it's something that's being planned for something in the future, Game Freak's definitely going to change it because it got leaked. You know, that's why people are getting concerned about will things get delayed is because of this. It's because if this is a design in Gen 10, Game Freak might be sitting back and going, guys, let's redo that design because the world sees it. You know?
That stinks. Well, all right,
I think that's
a conversation. For
no beta design's been brought back 1-to-1. That's the important thing to remember.
Yeah,
you know?
That's definitely true. Like that's not happening.
All right.
But
we also have
new Pokemon.
Well, we also have a ton of new Mega Evolutions, right? And these were again, these are
new.
They're
more like reworks.
Yeah,
they're just like
beta concepts for Mega Evolutions. But I think an interesting thing here is that the community has been speculating for a new type of Mega Evolution, right? Mega Z for Legend ZA. We don't have any confirmation of that, but I do think there's a good possibility, like like how we have Pokemon Mega X and Mega Y, and we have Primals, and we have Pokemon like Rayquaza that don't even need a Mega Evolutionary Stone. There is room for a new type of phenomenon that's associated with Megas, and we could see some of these designs kind of get reworked back into the fold. Pick and choose the ones you like.
May,
yeah.
They actually found that there was a placeholder for, so the way like Game Freak has like the data is like Charizard's Mega isn't coded as like a new Pokemon. It's coded as like an alternate Charizard.
Sure.
And interestingly enough, they found a little placeholder next to Charmander that was titled Mega Version Z.
No way. When?
So the implication,
what is this?
Is that this is from the Terra Leak.
Wow.
So the implication is that because we know that like some of the other stuff we'll get into, spoiler alert, South Kalos, that stuff was planned not for X and Y. It was planned for another game, whether that's X2, Y2, DLC, or Pokemon Z. that it was planned not for X and Y, but another game, and it seems like there was a Mega Charizard Z that was planned for those games.
Yeah, and also I think I'm just thinking about this now. Maybe we can be clear for listeners. Everything we're talking about today, if it is scrapped information or stuff that was found, maybe from anything like this, it's from the X and Y development. We're not actually looking at any sort of leaks or anything for Legends ZA. This is pure speculation based on stuff that existed 10 years ago, right? Stuff that Game Freak was thinking about a decade ago.
Right, and we're using the logic of if X2, Y2, or Z, whatever that would have been. I think there's more evidence, Soul, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was going to be an X2, Y2, right?
Well, now there's in this recent leak, they've pulled up like a Z version. I think it's just that different points in development. So like I think that the Z version was actually first, and then I think this is how it went.
I always felt
was actually
like
the concept first, and then it went into like they changed it to like a sequel of X2 Y2.
Right.
Yeah.
So the our logic here is that we're going if Pokemon Z or Pokemon X2 Y2, if those had been a thing, they would have been games focused around Zygarde, let's face it, right? And so the logic is we never got that Zygarde game. We are now getting Legends ZA, and we know Legends ZA is a Zygarde game.
Yeah.
So, we're making the connection to go. It would make sense if I was developing a Zygarde game. I would probably go, hey, don't we have a Mega Zygarde? Or don't we have not a Mega Zygarde, but a Zygarde game that like is in the trash that we were working on? Can you grab that file out and just look at it? We do have a Mega Zygarde.
We do have a Mega Zygarde.
Well, that's Freudian slip, but it was right.
Yeah.
There's a few other things I wanted to say about these new Pokemon. Just it's kind of not off topic, but off topic.
Sure.
So like Yorodin pointed out that the little fish could be the thing that we surf on in X and Y.
Yeah, that was a banger tweet.
Yeah,
that was a banger tweet. I think she was upset that it did as well as it did.
I was upset
that was supposed to be my
stole
secret
it from her.
Oh yeah,
but
that happens.
Yeah. Then the other thing was, well, since you're pulling it up, I'll let you. It'll probably be a little while. The other thing was what was it? I was looking at them as you were scrolling, so I forget.
I want to pull up this tweet here. So here's her tweet. This looks kind of, and this is Jordan's our mod, by the way. So shout out to Jordan.
She rocks.
In our secret Discord, which you can join if you become a $5 paid channel member on YouTube or Patreon, just letting you know. And you can chat with Jordan.
You also get it if you sign up for a tier above $5 too.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. This looks kind of like the creature we ride on in X and Y's generic surf animation, which isn't totally true because then you see it at like another angle and you're like, oh, it has flippers and stuff. But I do like the idea. I mean, this makes sense. In Generation 1, right? Like the thing that we ride on is like looks like a Lapras in the overworld. Lapras is a creature. Oh, that's not Gen 1. That's Gen 2. In Generation 2, the thing you ride on looks like a Lapras.
Yeah. Gen 1, it's like a little seal. Might be a seal.
But yeah, maybe it's a seal. So the idea is like, oh, maybe this little thing that you float on, maybe they were like, let's conceptualize a Pokemon that could serve as this. It's a cool thought.
The bird you fly in's Corviknight.
Yeah, exactly. In Gen 6 itself, the bird's like a black bird that looks like Corviknight. Me and Lumia on the same page.
Yeah.
If you go back to the it does look like a Remoraid too.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the Pokemon, I could tell you what that other piece of information was about them.
Right here?
No, like all of them, because I don't remember which one it was. But when I see it, I shall scroll down. So the water bug, that's what it is. There is information that this diving beetle was a Pokemon that was planned in Gen 3. So like they had a diving beetle Pokemon planned for Gen 3, and it never came to be, and now here it is, and it still didn't make the cut.
And a lot of people
can I ask how you feel about this Pokemon? Because it looks like a soul-coded Pokemon.
It is, but it's not Pokemon enough. Does that make sense?
Okay. I get you.
Because it's the concept art of it. I wish I could see all of these translated into Pokemon style, because none of them are in Pokemon style. So to me, well, except for the Peanut, actually, is probably the most Pokemon.
The little baby looks pretty Pokemon to me.
It needs something. It needs something.
Its eyes. This is
like
all
it
the
needs
same
more
artist.
of a concept. It needs like slap a badge on it and make it like the general manager, and that's its theme. That it's the general manager of a Walmart. That's what a Pokemon is.
I want a Walmart Pokemon.
I don't know what you're saying anymore, but
like it's a job. It needs a job, like a jobmon. Like
yeah,
Incineroar's a wrestler. This little. Anyways, yeah, it's a joke.
I think it's a little diver.
About the style, though. Do you understand?
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, I get you. The art style, yeah.
The art style is not Pokemon. It's like it's not Digimon, but it's its own thing. It could be its own franchise art style.
Yeah,
and that's why
like
it
you can
look
tell
like
that it's not far in development. You can tell that like it's an artist is like, this is how I draw. If you like it, you can draw it how you want it.
Yeah,
it's so. You know what's so cool about this though is like. Pokemon. It's so cool because like I see elements in the evolution now that we're just staring at this, and this is starting to become like a little off topic because we're going in depth on these Pokemon.
This thing's just too cool.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this and I'm like,
we glossed over it in the video. So I like in the video where we covered these all, we kind of glossed over this one, so it deserves it.
So the headpiece kind of looks like, okay, what I'm thinking about is like some of the best Pokemon are fusions of a lot of different animals. They kind of create their own monster, this own species, right? And everyone's calling it a water beetle. And the first little guy is like a little fish beetle. I could see it. A little horseshoe crab. I could see it. But then it evolves, and it's got these like fish. It's got these like fish fins. It's got this like mantine or whatever. It's not mantine.
Mantis.
A mantis. Or no, yeah, I guess mantis claws. It's got like a stinger on the back, which is a different animal. Not a manta ray. Right,
it's a bit of a chimera of a bug.
Yeah, and then you can also see like it's got like the squid head a little bit too. But then for Pokemon attributes, it has these like bubble goggles, which we see with the little spider in Gen 7.
I actually think that the Gen 7 Pokemon that you're thinking of is actually Lurantis, where this comes from. So I think they took the bubble goggles and the claws and put it into Lurantis. It could be, but because I thought the same thing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Golisopod, but it's not. So like they might have split like Golisopod.
No, the bug I'm thinking about.
Lurantis.
Well, Lurantis isn't a bug.
I know it's not, but it's still designed as one.
It's based on a bug.
I'm talking about the water bug, the little water bug, Jupiter and whatever it's.
Wimpod.
Yeah. No.
You mean Araquanid?
Araquanid. Yeah, it's got the bubble goggles for underwater.
So does freaking Lurantis. If you look at Lurantis' eyes, they have.
It's got the bug eyes. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Like the only two bug Pokemon, which is not a bug Pokemon.
Oh, dude, I see that now. I love this Pokemon.
It is not a bug type Pokemon, but it is a bug Pokemon.
Sure. Yeah, like Charizard is a dragon Pokemon. I get you.
Yeah, Flygon and this Pokemon have these goggle eyes.
I can see it.
Interesting. Anyway, it is. Yeah, I'll say one more thing while we're off topic. This designer liked to make the same exact face for like so the final evolution. You see the thing goes like this.
Yeah, it's got like a chin almost.
Yeah. Look at the other ones. Like
maybe he designed Mega Garchomp.
Yeah, dude, I can see it.
Look, the same exact thing here.
Its chin kind of points out. Maybe this guy designed everything.
Similar eyes too.
Yeah, there's a lot of beards in Gen 6. In the designs, this thing's got a little beak too. All right, we definitely got to move on.
Yeah. So to rope it back,
dude, this one,
we were talking
but just
about
to Soul's point. This
thing
also has even like the adorable Flabébé has this like little point at the bottom of its.
All of the
a pronounced chin.
Well.
Yeah, I can see it. Sorry,
He has if you look at Florges too, like the male Florges version is like exactly one of those as well.
Yeah, I can see it.
Boom.
Okay. Oh, even this thing's got the underbite.
Oh my god.
All right, go.
Scroll down, get away from it. So we talked about these scrapped Mega designs, and these obviously were reworked into other things. Mega Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard did happen, but we do have one Mega that did not happen.
Maybe two?
It was Mega Jynx.
Oh, we do have two.
Well, yeah, but we have an image of one. Mega Jynx
we have an
previously
image of
wasn't. What?
The Gengar one.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we do have an early design. I meant for one that didn't happen though, because Mega Gengar did happen.
So this is breaking news.
This is the only one that we
Yeah.
do not have. Like, Mega Jynx did not happen.
So on your screen right now, this is concept art from Game Freak of a Mega Jynx concept. I don't think it's finished. It's not a finalized design, but I think...
Definitely not.
It is nice to see which attribute they decided to emphasize, I guess as I say that, I'm thinking about the hair. That's what I'm thinking about, but this thing's also a person.
The story of Mega Jynx throughout this Terra leak is kind of hilarious too, because like a lot of people were thinking, when the Terra leak first happened, people were like, we'll probably get Mega Jynx from this. And then sure enough, one day the stats and the ability popped up. So people were like, oh crap, here it is, Mega Jynx. And then people basically found that it was actually an afterthought that was accidentally left in the game and then just removed because they were like, oh, why is this still here? Get that out of here. And so then people were like, Mega Jynx is dead. It's not happening. And then it is October 24th when we're recording this at like 1 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, literally.
Randomly, this thing popped up.
This is breaking news. Yep. Like, I mean, you guys are going to see this days later, but
oh yeah,
this is breaking news right now. We break news here on the podcast.
I like it more than Jynx.
I do too, definitely. You know,
I do too, but that's not hard.
I like the blue dress quite a bit, and
I do too. With like the snow falling on it.
Yeah, and I see a funny comment that says this was reworked into the hair was reworked into Doug Trio, a Lowland Doug Trio. Hilarious.
Yeah, it was either that or Crabominable. But
oh my,
because it does remind you of it, doesn't it? A little bit.
Yeah, now that you say it.
Yeah. The direction they went with though is like the whole opera singer even more. Like that's what she is. She's like literally that opera singer.
These are the same Pokemon. Look at the little hair spikes.
Yeah, I'm gonna post that later.
Both ice type too.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it really could have been like
that same blue.
Yeah, the same blue and white. No, yeah, this is cool. So I mean, it's actually nice to see, and I think we've been hearing hints about this. No, it's nice to get. Like all things in life, it's nice to get confirmation of the things that we were hearing about, right?
Yeah.
Because too often, the joy of this show is that we love Pokemon and we like to speculate and we like to think of cool ideas. And it's nice to see some of that speculation kind of come to fruition. And I feel
what would
like
y'all do if at 1 a.m. this morning Mega Flygon concept art drops?
Dude, I know.
I'd be much happier than when this happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think so. If we're talking about like what could be in Legend ZA, I feel like that if this is literally already scrapped or conceptualized, this feels like it has a good chance to maybe be like reworked.
No, bro, it's not happening. I don't think it's happening.
I don't care. I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah, me either. But yeah, I think because it leaked, especially now, I don't think that.
Unless it's already in ZA,
yeah. I don't think they went back to it, to be honest. They probably just scrapped it altogether. Like no.
Well, and again, no beta design. Correct me if I'm wrong, Soul, but no beta design has come back 1-to-1. Even when they've reworked Madam into Surfetched, they change it completely. When they do Mime Junior again, it's changed completely.
Yeah.
Is it a dark type though? Was it the typing confirmed? Because the eyes.
I believe it was still Ice Psychic.
Okay. I can see the Psychic more. I can see the Ice more. It really feels like a better version of... Because I think... The base Jynx design doesn't look like its types.
True.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely... Yeah, it does not invoke Ice. In fact, you know what's funny? When I was really little, I had that Delta Species Jynx card that was Fire type. And, I never caught a Jynx in game because I don't care. And so I thought for like a long time that Jynx was a Fire type.
Huh.
Because I didn't have another Delta Species card yet, so I didn't know the gimmick with that, so I was just like, Jynx is a Fire type.
Dude,
if they just got rid of the chest area, it would be so much better.
Yeah, it's pretty emphasized.
Here
we go.
Man.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I can see this Delta Jynx Fire type. Punch. It matches the dress. It has this fiery aura. I can see it, man. This is like the low pony, right? This Jynx is...
This is like the Digimon of Pokemon. That's what it is.
Yeah, dude,
because in Digimon there's like actual full-on human women.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But to keep the train moving, anything else to say on Mega Evolutions and stuff?
I think there's so many things. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, pull up the.
But I don't think.
Gengar,
yeah, let's cover it here. But
it looks like Super Saiyan Gengar.
Yeah, it's not finished, That's all there is.
And I think I'm happy with what we got.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
But so this is a scrapped early design for Mega Gengar. You can see it right now on your screens. Here
Which
it is.
Just has its third eye, and it has a very spiky
And for those listening, It's really not much of a change.
Yeah, it basically doesn't have the giant arms. I like that they said, let's give it haunter arms. Right, that's cool. Now it just looks drips out of the ground.
Unfinished. I don't think that they had finished it. This was just like a.
It could have been a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's keep this train moving because there's a lot to cover, and we.
Okay, well that takes us.
How about that Salamence though?
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah. Peak. We were robbed.
I love that it had its own chest going on there too.
Yeah.
So
all right.
So we moving out of Pokemon, we have I will also randomly touch on this. This could have been like an error or something, but there was also, like I talked about how there was a placeholder for Charmander that was Mega Charizard Z. There was also a placeholder for a pure poison Bulbasaur. Which is maybe like that was planned. Maybe they were going to give in this X2, Y2, or Z, maybe they were going to give Blastoise and Venusaur a second Mega, and maybe Venusaur's would have become pure poison. I don't know. That's speculation. It doesn't say it's a Mega Venusaur. It's just literally like a second Bulbasaur that's pure poison. And there's no images of these, by the way. It's just coding, you know?
Yeah.
But, it could have been an error.
They need it. It could, yeah, that's true. That is so true. Like maybe that is something to really to consider. That like so many of these things that we find, we like to imagine that they're super intentional, but usually it's information from an early build of a game. Therefore, it's just like scrapped, whatever. Like if you went into my Canva folder and saw all my projects, they would be ruined. Like they're like all over the place. They're messy. You're like, why is this here? And if then you were to just assume all of it was intentional, that would be pretty stupid. So maybe we should keep that in mind as we look at some of this stuff.
Exactly. And there's other like examples in future generations of like scrap Pokemon forms that might have just been a coding error. Like there's supposedly like in Home you can find there was an alternate form of Celesteela, there was an alternate form of Spidops, there's an alternate form of Mousehold, and that's believed to have been like a gender thing, like they were going to do male and female, but then they made Mousehold, I believe they made it genderless because you know the male and the female are right there. But all I know is pain. He wants that Spidops form.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to
the bigger thing, in my opinion, you would think Pokemon would be the biggest thing, but to me, what I was most excited about, I don't want to speak about y'all, but what I was most excited about were the locations.
Yeah, bro.
There were tons of planned locations in X and Y. Firstly, the big one, the thing everybody's talking about, South Kalos, ladies and gentlemen, it is real.
Dude,
it is
confirmed.
very, very real.
So yeah,
pull up that map.
Yeah, so Southern Kalos. Yeah, I was trying to find another image, but it's right here. Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So set it up for listeners, for people who maybe never played X and Y, right?
So there's this city in the post game. It's called Kalos City, and it's like set like it literally says it's the gateway to like Southern Kalos living. That's like its town map description or whatever. And the thing is, if you look at the Kalos region, people will tell you Kalos was based off of France. They're not totally wrong, but it was really only based off of northern France. Like there's not a lot of southern France representation in it. So the idea was that Southern Kalos could be a thing, and that could be a region one day. No different than how Japan is one country, but it's gotten 4 regions, really, if you want to think about more than that, if you include spin-offs and Kitakami and all that. So people have always been holding on to this. I mean, y'all remember the good old days. Scarlet and Violet comes out. We know we're getting DLC for it, but the Teal Mask and Indigo Disc have not been revealed. And what is everybody talking about? They're talking about that little blacked out area at the top right of the map. And if you know real world geography, you know that right next to Spain is a lovely little country called France, specifically the southern part of it. So Southern Kalos, right? And there were even some teases that Game Freak did with it, like how there are like Kalos dragon trainers in that section of the Paldea region.
Insane.
So
it's
like
insane. It's well, actually, can I tell you one little? I mean, there's more setup, I guess, because it's like, again, on the screen right now we have the we have the X and Y map of Kalos, and you can see the most southern city is this little dot, and it's like, yeah, there's more down there. That's the big suggestion, that there's more down there. And and I heard a little theory on Twitter. It, you know, Synchro kind of debunked it right off the bat, but I'm like, you said you didn't actually know anything. So I'm gonna try to pretend this is real because I think it's sick.
It's your headcanon, if nothing else.
Yeah, it'll be lost to time. But that's the little theory is that like, oh, when we get Legend ZA, maybe our switches will register that we have that data, and then when we go to play Scarlet and Violet, if you've beaten Legend ZA, that area opens up, right, in Scarlet and Violet. Why would it be blurred out? Why would it be blurred out? Why would it be blurred out?
Okay, so I don't think
I'm not saying it'll happen. It's not the entirety of Kalos. It could just be like 2 towns. You know?
I don't
it could
think
be
it'll
just
happen.
Another little biome.
But I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a moment and just let you all know that the guy who hacked Game Freak and is leaking this stuff did say that he is not going to release any of the Scarlet and Violet stuff because he said Scarlet and Violet still has planned updates.
Bro, yeah, okay, so that is what I was looking at, and I was like,
tinfoil hat on.
It's in full effect.
He just means because of raids, guys. That's all it is.
Yeah,
probably
I think so as well.
But
you know, just to play into it.
It's just raids.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not familiar, this is what the map looks like in game, where it's like this is all blurred out. I feel like everyone must know what this is, but this is Area 0 is blurred out. And then up here, this whole area is also blurred out very intentionally. They didn't need to do that.
Area -1.
So, okay. That's okay. We'll just put that on ice. Yeah, we'll just put that on ice.
But either way, South Kalos was a real thing. It had multiple routes. It had some cities, some towns, some dungeons, some
islands,
which, you know, are like caves and stuff, and then some islands, and not just any islands. They had something called a Mirage Island, which you know what that is from Oris. And if you think about that, that makes a lot of sense because like the lore of the Mirage Islands in Oris was really kind of tied into Hoopa.
Yeah.
Wow. And dude. Hoopa is a Kalos legendary, so you could make the argument that X2Y2Z would have had like maybe some Hoopa plot tied into it with the Mirage Island. But then also the other island is one that my battling heart feels for. It was called Battle Island, and it's removed from the game. And for that reason, I'm out.
Bro, for that reason, Battle Island. And I think this is so cool to see that like all these little things were like planned. So yeah, just I don't know if we even said it, but like basically the dream of Southern Kalos has been alive for 10 years, and what happened is in the Terra leak of this year of 2024, the Game Freak Terabyte leak, all of this information was found in these scrapped in all of this concept information was found in like an earlier version of X and Y, potentially suggesting an X2 Y2 or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if we provided that context, but yeah, that is so cool to think that these things were planned, and what probably happened is we just ran out of time. They ran out of time in production and just brought it right into Oris.
I don't think it was that. I think it was because it was planned for
there's a lot in here.
Game or an enhanced version. I think that they scrapped the game.
They made a decision.
So that they could
That's what I'm
focus
saying.
on Sun and Moon, because Sun and Moon were going to be the 20th anniversary games. And I think they thought, you know what, we should probably prioritize making our 20th anniversary game big. And so they said, don't even work on that X2, Y2 game. You know,
so X2 and Y2 would have come out after Oris?
Probably, because Oris came out the year after X and Y, so I imagine X and Y.
Sure, that was already in production.
Was not planned for the next year, you know?
I can see that.
I would think the gap year would be between X and Y and Oris.
Yeah, because that's
Oris
when the gap year was. Okay, it was.
Yeah, the gap year was between Oris and Sun and Moon. I think they literally said, "Hey guys, you know what? Can we just like actually instead of releasing X2 and Y2, just give a giant middle finger to all our Kalos fans and focus on Sun and Moon instead,
and just make Kalos the worst game ever." Like literally, to me, I mean, obviously,
not the worst game ever.
You love it, Lumi, but other people like Kalos is my least favorite.
That's because you're a bad person.
Kalos and Sinnoh are not so great for me, but
there's a lot of great potential there.
You haven't played Hoenn. You can't say that it's the worst.
Yeah, but Hoenn's one of the best.
I agree, but
Hoenn is listen. People need to put some respect in the name of Hoenn. Hoenn is associated with with Pokemania.
Listen, I didn't say anything bad about Hoenn, and it's not really associated with
for no reason.
It's associated.
Soul said, I didn't say anything bad about Hoenn, and no, it's
you know
not.
What Hoenn is associated with the downfall of Pokemania, though. Just so you know.
Hey, but but it was us fans growing up. That's what it really was.
Yeah. And it's turned around because all the kids love Hoenn now that are now adults.
We're the kids.
Anyway,
I'm the kid. I'm a kid, guys. I'm young.
Yeah. Anyway, Kalos. The problem with Kalos is just that you can feel that there's so much potential and that it's just gone and that there's nothing. Yeah. Like at the end of Kalos, when I played it, I was like, "There's like no post game. There's like nothing. It's just like that was it." And this just I feel robbed. I feel robbed. And I feel like what it is this game.
What it is 70 new Pokemon. It's like, we want to be able to explore more after the story. Unfortunately,
there's like 70 new ones, and you can't even use half the megas, and there's no post game. I was just like, this is the worst Pokemon game ever. Back when I first played it,
they add new megas and Oris, so they literally encourage everybody. Hey, we're not making X and Y compatible with these mega evolutions that we're adding in Oris. So basically, just get rid of X and Y. You don't need that game anymore. Toss it out. Oris has everything X and Y has and more.
And that is so true because I have a lot of memories. I played X and Y in college, and I played it pretty. I think I maxed out the hours, over 1,000 hours in it. But the game, the Gen 6 game that I kept alive for 3, 4, 5 years was Oraz, right? And then so all my memories are now back in Hoenn and not in X and Y. And I wonder what that would have looked like the other way around. But I guess, okay, so for the purpose of this podcast, what's cool about all these locations is, and it's tough because, Pokemon Legends ZA has been marketed to only be present in Lumio City, and we have our theories.
That's also disappointing. It's like, wait, we just got all these leaks that there's like literally a part of the whole map that you cut out, and you're not even going to use it. You're going to just
You're not even going to use the original map.
Yeah.
You're not even using the original map.
You're not even going to use the original cut Pokemon. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but
for me, it's just they took out the map, they took out the Pokemon. If those things were in the original X and Y, it would be such a better game.
It might would be it's one of my favorite games. It is my favorite game. I can admit it is objectively not the best game.
But
I feel like it would be one of those games. I feel like it would be one of those games. Well, also too, like the thing as a favorite game isn't necessarily like you won't think that your favorite game is necessarily the best. There might be like an emotional attachment or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I feel that way about Gold and Silver, like the original Gold and Silver.
Right.
Obviously, they're not the best, but they're the best to me.
Yeah, but like, I think, I don't know. I think that X and Y, if they had the stuff that was planned for it, or if these X2, Y2 games existed, I think that this would be a game that today, if it came out in 2015, it'd be almost 10 years later. I think 10 years later, people would still be saying, oh, the best Pokemon game of all time? Probably X2, Y2. Like, I think there will be a large amount of the fan base that says that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's still always going to be subjective. But, like, I feel like there are games that are always thrown around with the topic of best game. And I think this one would be one of the ones that's tossed around.
Yeah, I think for me, it would just be just a massive region. And I think, friend of the show, Jake Seinberg, is not a Pokemon head. Like, he loves Pokemon, but he's not, he's sharing a perspective with me this year that kind of puzzles me, right? And it's made me realize that us three, as core Pokemon fans, right? Pokemon fanatics, right? What we like is the immersion of a real life Pokemon universe and world. And I think what is so exciting to us that maybe isn't so exciting to other people is the idea of like just a massive biome that you can explore. For me, in my, as I get older and when I revisit regions, what I'm looking for are vast biomes, right? I'm looking for sandboxes to play through within engines. I'm thinking about Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. There are so many routes and biomes, and there's a story there that you can see the history and the progression between the first iteration and the sequels. I'm also looking at Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Same exact thing where you have 2 regions, right? There's so much to explore, characters to visit, and I think X and Y, in a lot of ways, I think this version of X and Y the lost potential of an X2 Y2 kind of shows that a similar thing to that, right? Where you have not only base Kalos, but you can then explore this whole other area, right? In post game, where there's no, where you can just do whatever you want. You can shiny hunt, you can battle, you can do whatever you want, right? You can catch them all, right? So
I have a few thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not the same probably as you. I think we all have our
okay. Yeah.
That we like. Maybe Lumi does
That's for me.
want to be immersed in the world. I think he does.
I am that way.
For me, I just like literally catching Pokemon and battling them and using them. So like for me, it's just about content. Like I want more content. I want it to last long. I don't want to be done with it for like in a couple hours or something. You know what I mean? That's why I stretch out
it's a similar thing, right?
Yeah, I'm floored that you don't like X and Y then, because X and Y, like the gap between the first and second gym is giant. Like you're playing through this game and it's
the
like
first and second. So you're like, I have these crap Pokemon that I don't care about.
I guess, but see, that's something that, and I think, I don't know, I'm more with Dusty, where like I like to be immersed in the world.
I mean, but obviously I do, but I'm just saying I'm not obsessed with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. You focus more on another thing, and that's totally valid. In fact, I would probably say that the fan base is pretty half and half, if not leaning more your way. Especially because a lot of people are not like Dusty, like you said. Yeah. A lot of people are not Pokemon heads. You know, they're gamers, so they don't care about being immersed in a world of Pokemon. They care about having fun playing a video game. Yeah. But no matter if it's Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, Xenoblade, whatever.
I'm just trying to exemplify why we care about Southern Kalos so much, because I did see some feedback. Some people were like, "Yo, it's sick," but then there was also some people who were like, "But who cares?" And I just wanted to explain that a little bit.
It sucks because Kalos was so close. Look, y'all know that I'm a Kalos head. I don't know if you see my little name right.
LumiosePost.
LumiosePost. Lumiose is the main city in Kalos. Love Kalos. Got a Kalos poster behind me. Kalos Mons behind me. I
Certified
love Kalos.
Gamer.
So it sucks for me because I feel like Kalos was so close. Did you know that of almost 30 years of Pokemon, almost 10 generations of Pokemon, X and Y still to this day has the largest national Pokedex, or like regional Pokedex, of any Pokemon game. Damn. Like they were doing that. They were getting what we wanted. They were doing this world where it's filled with, it's a reason I love like playing Nuzlocke. My favorite game to replay Nuzlocke on are X and Y and Black 2 and Y2, because each route you can, on that freaking route, Murao Coast, I forget what route number it is. I know the names of the Kalos routes better than I know the route numbers. But it's you can get anything from an Inkay to a Drifloon to a Bagon to a Menfu to a Swellow, or a Talo. Like just
see, I don't. I love
it.
I don't like that. No, because I feel there's too many options. I feel like
I like it, but I don't like it because this is just how I play Pokemon. That's what I'm saying.
No, like, which is fair.
For me, that's like a huge. You're talking about that huge gap. Yeah, and it's like, okay, but they're all the crappy Pokemon. But the main thing is there's no like new Pokemon. That was my thing with Kalos. I'm like, I agree there. I want new Pokemon. I don't want the old ones.
We don't need Pidgey,
I'm not a person like the Nat Dex cut did nothing to me except for Ultra Necrozma. I'm feeling that, but that's it. Like literally,
you'd be feeling
that wasn't even part of the Dex cut. That was part of a gimmick cut, really.
Yeah, but no, my favorites are cut though. Like I can't play with Ledian in Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield, whichever one it was. It's like there are ones, but I'm content in waiting until their game for them. It's the new ones I want to play in a new generation. Yeah, so like if Kalos, I'm playing through it and I'm like, I can't. There are some, but it's like they're so few and far between. Like there's like, oh, you can catch this new Pokemon in this area, but I don't like that one. you know, so like, what am I going to use?
So you don't get your next one till 8 routes later. You know?
Yeah, I'm using Dunsparce.
All right.
Well, and especially because they tried to rectify or they tried to justify. I'll say this, and that'll be the last thing. But like,
I have something
adding to Soul's point. Okay, well, there you go. But like to try to justify this point, to try to justify that the Dex number was so low, they were like, okay, well, we're gonna give a bunch of Mega Evolutions. But then, like Soul, you said this earlier. Half the Mega Evolutions aren't even available until the post game. So you lower the amount of new Pokemon I can use, and you go, okay, but we're going to give you new forms for some of your favorites. And I'm like, all right, great. That's solid. Let's see them. Oh, well, you can't get them now.
You only get Lucario.
Yeah, that's not great.
The other thing I was gonna say is this is a positive thing. Maybe they didn't do this for. Maybe they will put some of this into Legends ZA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. But also, maybe they didn't put it in Legends ZA or in Kalos, normal Kalos, because they plan on using it again in the future. So, like, there was also a leak of Passio from Pokemon Masters being based off of Italy. I don't know if you want to get into that.
No.
But it was literally based off of Italy. Like, we
can talk about that another day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that
cool.
they took it out because they might use Italy in the future.
Yeah, so
in the
Passio
same way,
is the region in Pokemon Masters. That's the game on your phone. And Game Freak, there's like there's a leak of a conversation where Game Freak is saying, actually, don't make Passio based on Italy like it was supposed to be. Don't make it based on Italy. And then the assumption that we're making is, well, why do they not want it to be based on Italy? Are they?
Oh, he said it straight.
It's not an assumption. He outright said it.
He said it.
He outright said, we want the option to use Italy in the future.
Oh, he did say that?
Yeah, like he didn't say we're using it, but he said
we
may
want
that was
to
in the
assumption.
future. No,
Dude, that's
he directly
crazy.
said, we would like you to avoid using Italy as a direct inspiration. He even went on to say, you can use bits of Italy. Like, if you want to have Roman ruins in there, that's fine. But do not make it obvious where a player will look at this and go, this is Italy.
Okay.
Because we want the option to use Italy in a future Pokemon
So the
game.
way that I see Southern
Region,
Kalos
mainline
and Italy being brought into the future is that we just get a Mediterranean region, right?
I mean, maybe. I wasn't suggesting that. I was suggesting that they could do like a new Kalos game in the future. You know, like I don't know. Maybe they end up doing an X2Y2 like 10 years from now.
Or they just do.
At some point, they'll do X and Y remakes. You know,
yeah,
like
and they use that. They use the Southern Kalos.
Yeah, but they could also give us a region that is essentially like it's this, and it goes down to Italy, and then it's Southern Kalos. And then there's a big C, and there's more stuff over here. No, yeah, it doesn't even need to be that.
Region, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think for a Gen 10 game where it's like you have all these different just tips of regions represented, but the main thing is the Mediterranean Sea, but they can call it something else, right?
Well, I think Italians like Soul will be upset if they're like, and this is the Italy region, but you can only be in this part of it.
Yeah, but we just
I think not just Italians, but everyone. The Greeks,
people
the
from
Croatians, the freaking French, all of them. Like
we get a little bit of Egypt, a little bit of Algeria. I think it's cool. I guess what I'm imagining is like we already are seeing that with the DLC in Scarlet and Violet, right? We went to Kitakami, the land of Kitakami, not the region that Kitakami is within, but just that little sliver, right?
You have to think,
and this is a different conversation, so we should probably talk about it later.
Yeah, but you do have to think about that. That is, they always do like prototype things in previous games.
Yeah.
So like them going to Kitakami and them going to Blueberry Academy, we're like, let's test that out to see if it works for the future games.
Yeah. Well, and I think to tie this all together, the reason we're discussing this is because the whole purpose of this video is we are wondering this scrap stuff. If it comes back, how could it come back? And sure, like our primary thought is, hey, Legends EA is on the horizon.
Yeah.
That's an obvious one. But there is the possibility that, okay, Legends EA doesn't use this. They still can use it in future games. You know, the possibilities are beyond ZA. And I think that's important to note.
No, absolutely. This is cool. We can do a full episode on this. This would be fun.
We need to do a full Gen 10 like speculation
full episode
video.
on Pokemon Wind and Waves.
What's next, Lumi?
So there's, believe it or not, we ain't done with the locations. There is some, and I might be more excited about this.
Let's go through these different locations, okay? We got,
I actually might be more excited about this than I was South Kalos. There's concept arts for areas that were supposed to be in main Kalos. And some of them you can clearly see, like there's a ton for the power plant, which you can obviously, like, again, to tie this to ZA, we've been speculating if the game's set in Lumiose City, what's the scope of that? Because that power plant is called the Lumiose Power Plant, and it's right outside Lumiose City. So you can say that the game is set in Lumiose City, and it still include areas around Lumiose City, especially an area called the Lumiose Power Plant.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they use the power plant, Like there's all kinds of concept arts for the power plant, which just really makes me feel like it had such a bigger role. Because there's seriously, like as you go through these concept arts, there's nothing else down here, Dusty. It's just the ones up there and then another page.
Yeah.
But the Kalos power plant has so many different concept arts. Like no other route has 1,500 different concept arts. Kalos power plant does, but there are areas too that like you see don't appear in the game. Right there, that one. Go back to the one you were just on. That top one that says Sewers of Paris.
Yeah,
Lumiose
which we never saw.
City. You know, if we have a game set in Lumiose City though, and they at one point were playing around with the idea of there being sewers of Paris that you can go through, that automatically kind of yells, "Hey, here's something that could pop in ZA. You want to talk about something that could be in ZA? This could very well be in ZA."
I get a little frustrated because I mean, I even hear it from you guys, right? I feel like too many people are disappointed with the fact that we're only going to Lumiose City because we're not thinking about this area that we know of to scale. We're only thinking about the limitations that we know it as on the 3DS.
But that's
from
not
a decade
really,
ago.
I'd push back on that.
Really it.
Why would you?
I'd push back on that.
What it would?
It's
okay,
not.
Yeah, I don't.
It's not that I am up. Like I'll speak for me personally. I've made my peace that the game's set in Lumiose City, and I'm still very excited for it, and I still think that there's a chance this could be my favorite Pokemon game. So I'm not pessimistic about being in Lumiose City. My disappointment when that was first announced didn't come from, it's only set in Lumiose City. That's going to be small. Yeah. It was more so that it was like,
you want to see
we're
those
going
other
to see
regions.
A game in a new art style, and Kalos is whether you hate it or not, I think we can all agree that Kalos is a gorgeous region, right? I mean,
there's a lot of great.
It's locations. In the name, right? Kalos is the Greek word for beauty. Yeah. So the fact that I won't see these areas, my favorite area of Kalos was not Lumiose City. It's very cool, but the fact that area they're literally going, no.
Yeah, but I think what is so exciting is not what we already know, which is just like the floor level, the ground level, but we can also go into like something that they were considering in this concept art, which is the sewers, and the sewers could be this whole like extravagant location that we don't even know about with all these different types of Pokemon, right? And there's probably more. We could probably even like go up, like I can see it where like we're climbing a building, and now when you get to a certain elevation, all these other new Pokemon show up. And if you're up that high, now you can see all these new locations, or all these locations in the Kalos region, right, at a distance. Yeah, it is disappointing you can't go to it, but I think there's things that they could do that we don't even know about. And I also think, my copium is there. I think we could definitely go to the outskirts, because what that does is now allow different type of biomes for different Pokemon to appear. I think there is more. I think there's more to this than we know. And I could also see it where it's like, take this, I don't know if it's a train, but like I could see it where we could fast travel to a couple different locations outside of Lumiose City, just for like final battles or something, right? You go to where Zygarde slumbers, maybe, right? I could see some. Yeah. I could see some random stuff like that.
I definitely. If you put a gun to my head, I'd tell you I think the outskirts are going to be in. Like, I do think that.
Anyways, yeah. I mean, I get it. I get the frustration, but I do think there's, through this concept art, there is a lot of really beautiful things that we could potentially see.
Let's hope, because there are things going around, and like you just don't want it to look just like Scarlet and Violet, like Mesagosa City, and that's it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because like, imagine if the whole city looks like just the same, and there's not like a lot of variety. If they put variety in the city, then that'll be great. But if it's just like a metropolitan city, which by all means it pretty much should be, other than like some parks, like I don't want that.
But I don't think that's to scale though, right? Like I think it would be so much bigger. What this would be is an entire region.
Beauty to it.
What it would be is an entire region.
What I'm worried about is how alive it'll feel. Because, like, to make sense of it, my wife right now, she's never played through the Unova games. And right now she is playing through Pokemon Black. So I've been like kind of looking over. And she got to Castelia City the other day. And I was watching her walk around Castelia City. And I just thought, you know what? Black and White, that game came out in 2010, right?
Yeah.
Am I right about that? So that's a 14-year-old game. And I was thinking, this city in a 14-year-old game feels more alive than Mesagosa, a 2-year-old city,
Yeah, but and that is a good point for why maybe Legends
and
EA.
I'm worried about that with Lumio City.
Also, you have to think, Pokemon Legends Arceus, one of the main complaints from fans was it's just empty. And it's just like, like,
but the
true.
setting called for that a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, obviously. But if they make Lumio City empty, that's gonna suck.
Yeah,
because the setting does not call for it to be.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I'm less worried about that because I think it was empty by choice. Like I don't think it was like, oh, the game felt empty and that wasn't their intention. I think they intended for the game to feel empty.
It's not filling it with Pokemon though. It's not just like filling it with Pokemon or people. Like I don't know.
Things to do.
Things.
Why can't we go into the building?
Well, you want to feel life emanating from places. Like click that picture right there or scroll up on the picture you're on. Like this is such a minor detail, but I meant the picture you were on. But like to use Castelia City as an example, like you can kind of feel. I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe it's the fact that at night you see lights in those windows. Mm-hmm. Like you feel a presence of people. You feel like this is a heavily populated city. Even when there's not people. This is an alleyway. There's only like 2, maybe 3 people in this alley.
Yeah.
And it feels more alive.
Exactly. but I feel the presence of people.
And you know what I think that is like partially because these are like chibis, right? This is like a chibi Pokemon game.
Different.
I think it's more proportional,
Mm-hmm.
I think you look up and you can see the tops of the buildings are nowhere in sight, right? Mm-hmm. At least not from from where the player character is standing. And you can see this scope behind you. But like in Mesagosa, like I don't have any images of it right here. Mesagosa, I don't know. It's just like the buildings aren't that tall. Everything looks the same.
Where is everyone?
It feels like I'm playing Sonic
Wasteland.
Yeah,
it feels like I'm playing Sonic Adventure 1 on the Dreamcast from 1999.
That's so specific.
So like, and I love that game. Don't get me wrong.
Joke.
I absolutely love that game.
I think,
but no, the joke is just that it was from 1999 and it feels like it's from 1999.
I think Castelia is a lot smaller. Like it feels bigger, but it is actually a lot smaller, and there's more hidden secrets in all of the random buildings. Like you go into these buildings, you get random items, there's random like not mini games, but there's like weird mechanics you can get, ribbons you can get. There's things to do, right? It's jam packed. It's a small location, but it feels big because there's a lot to do. And Scarlet and Violet is the exact opposite, where it's massive but empty. And I'm hopeful. When I say I'm hopeful that Legends EA will feel more like this. Right, because it is probably going to be a smaller game in scope to Scarlet and Violet, right?
Yeah, for
sure.
So
I'm hopeful that it feels more intentional, every aspect of it.
Let's hope
it probably will, if for nothing else. That like, I think another thing that like, I don't know. You don't realize how much something meant to you until it's taken away. Yeah. You know what I mean? And one thing you've heard people complain about it before, but one thing with Scarlet and Violet was you can't go inside buildings. The buildings you can go inside.
It sounds so
really
stupid.
Just menu screens.
It sounds so stupid.
It sounds stupid. It sounds like really, guy, you're complaining about that. But it made you feel more alive because I can walk inside and I can see these people there.
They're living a life.
That guy's, like you'll go up a random set of stairs and there'll be a mom, a dad, and a little girl like running circles on the rug. You see a family.
Also, just like I think what it does is also it's like even though there's like the value is subjective of the ability to talk to those people, but the fact that I have the option to talk to those people, that feels like a discovery when I learn about what they're saying. Right? Where if you just walk by them and you're being told whatever they're saying, it's like, okay, well, this isn't important. I didn't need to do anything to get this. It's just being thrown at me. My brain is going to ignore it. I think that is part of the psychology of why the NPCs in Scarlet and Violet are not as fulfilling. I really do.
For sure. I agree. But we're way off topic, but
Pokemon Legends EA a little bit.
I want to mention.
Well, that's what we're comparing Scarlet and Violet because it's the last game, and we're saying like this is what we don't want to be implemented in ZA.
I want to mention one last thing about all this, and that is I want to compare it to Lumio City that we know. Like you were talking about it before, and Lumio City is probably the worst part about Kalos to me because it's just like a mess. It's
yeah,
like,
it is a mess,
and it is
but I
all
think they
gray.
can fix it.
It is all like that gray color, and it's not.
Sure.
It's funny because it's like they want if we have like Legends EA wants to like redevelop the Lumio City that we know, then it's like okay, that makes sense because that Lumio City was like kind of a disaster. Like I would get confused. I don't know what street I'm on. I'm going into the same building like 20 times.
But that's a limitation of the system, right? Of the
I
technology.
agree. My point is just that
like this is what I'm imagining.
We're talking about Castilia City being alive. Lumio City felt just as bad as Mesagosa, if not worse. Like to me, Lumio City is not anything to write home about. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot going on. This concept art is great, but
like this is what I'm imagining. This is us. These are our Pokemon. They're random people walking, and the buildings are that tall, and you can
Lumio
always
City,
see this in the background. I really think this is what the game's gonna feel like.
I hope it's even more dynamic than this.
Sure,
like more colorful. And everything.
But you see how wide these streets are?
Lean into the Paris stuff. Mm-hmm. I do think we'll be able to go into like the cafes and stuff because we could in Lumio City. Like there's no way they'd pull a Scarlet and Violet and like just.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's all set in it. Like Scarlet and Violet gets away with it. Like I'm saying that in quotes for listeners because like it's not in one city. It's this huge game. Okay, yeah, I can't run around into all these buildings in the city, but I can leave the city, you know. But this game's set in one city, so I'm sure that you'll be able to go into a lot of buildings. Mm-hmm. By the way, oh man, dude, I'm really excited for ZA. I just randomly thought about the art museum that's in Lumio City, and you know we don't know the time period of these games, but I hope that it's in a time period where those art museums exist, so I can like change, like you know, move the camera to where I can look right at the image and I'm not looking top down at the paintings. You know,
it's like this here, right? You can actually see the paintings. That's pretty cool.
Go to that concept art though. We ought to look around at those and you know talk about each one because there's some really interesting stuff.
How much more do we have? Because we got about a half hour.
There is let's see. That's pretty much it. For
if you have specific notes, definitely call them out.
Okay, well that's pretty much it for the areas that at least that would tie into ZA. There is some stuff about the Pokemon Village used to be a village of Ditto impersonating people.
Cool.
But there's some stuff on, you know, you remember we talked about this in our previous videos with Black and White, they gave us some info on gym leaders. They did the same thing in X and Y, and I am under the assumption that AZ will play a role in these games or will be in it somehow.
Another question.
If AZ is in these games, I imagine there's a chance that his Floette may make an appearance. And so I just think it's interesting to note that one thing they wrote about Ramos, which is our grass gym leader in Kalos, is that the reason he became a grass gym leader and started doing these gardens is because when he was a young boy, he actually met AZ's Floette. And he's making these gardens in hopes of it one day returning and him meeting it again.
Bro.
We need to
see that.
I bring that up to say, like, that's a cool character moment that we could potentially get, you know? And just neat lore. They just made, you know, the random old man super interesting.
I love this guy.
I always love this guy, yeah.
This is like what we all need to aspire to.
I like that he calls you a whippersnapper. He always calls you old whippersnapper.
Is he from Paldea though? Because his name is Ramos.
Ramos.
He could be. And you know what? If he ain't, they can make him. You know, he could pop up in ZA and be like, "Oh, I'm off the train because I just came from the Paldea region or something." You know.
Sure. I don't know if this. And on Bulbapedia, it says his hometown is Coramine City.
Well, that's his hometown. That's where he's. But not that's where his gym is. You know, like, sure, like your hometown's where you live, but not necessarily. It's where your home is, not
bro.
Where
I want to see.
From, though.
I want to see Pokemon Legends Ramos. This guy, dude. This
forget
guy,
ZA. We need Legends Ramos.
He has an interesting Pokemon too.
He's got Gogoat.
Gogoat.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. He does. Yeah.
But some other interesting plot points are that you have I actually didn't think this was interesting, but off camera, Soul made me interested in this. But he has an army of Victory Bell in the anime. That's freaking
sick.
amazing.
That's sick. Imagine we see that.
He could play a part. He could play a part in this game.
Yeah. There is so originally in Kalos, your rival, which is Serena and Callum, and one of the biggest critiques of Kalos is that your rivals, that little friend group, Callum/Serena, Tierna, Trevor, and Shauna, are boring and they suck. That's what people say about them.
Yeah.
Originally, your rival was a Pokemon that turned into a person.
So much better.
Oh yeah, that's way more interesting. I thought nothing of that, but Soul, I don't know if you want to say where your head went to with that.
That's all it says, is that it would be much better than. I mean, it would be interesting for a bit.
Well, you said you mentioned, you brought up that sounds like a similar concept to the Synchro.
Oh right,
machine.
Yeah. That's funny that I forgot about.
Yeah, I know.
We were talking
I'm sitting here. I'm passing the ball to you. I want you to have that moment where you reveal that, but you're like, I just think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot is why. But no, I think that is just like another hint to the Synchro machine being in Legends EA, because I think that the Synchro machine concept was probably thought up in Gen 6 in Kalos X and Y, because they have the guy in the Pokemon Center that says like, oh yeah, imagine becoming a Pokemon, or I forget what it is exactly, but it's like the technology of doing it. And now we have even further proof that if your rival was a Pokemon, they were playing with this idea like of becoming a Pokemon, and then like in a way they have been forever because of
absolutely.
Typhlosion.
And I think it's what people want.
Was
not because of Typhlosion. No.
The text was in X and Y. There is a scientist that says a device that lets you become a Pokemon. ... Would anyone want to do that?
There you go. See, so they were already. That's like literally the Synchro machine. And yeah, and then they just finally introduced it as a prototype in Scarlet and Violet. And so this, your rival, this cut rival being able to become a Pokemon, or being a human that becomes a Pokemon, like they were just messing around with it.
I want to become a Pokemon.
I mean, yeah, in a game.
Yeah, in a game.
Mystery Dungeon coming to you, and
dude, that's so true. Mystery Dungeon has always been
Mystery Dungeon obviously is the one that did it first or whatever, but this is different.
Well, and Soul, you've been, I don't know if it's your theory, so I'm sorry if I'm about to credit you with this and it was someone else's, but it was you who showed me that if you look at the like map that they kind of give us, and not really map, but like image they give us of Lumio City from the Legends EA trailer, there appears to be, and there's some debate on this, but there's a little Pokeball symbol, but if you look at it really closely, it does look like it could be a Synchro machine symbol.
Yes.
There's some debate on that. I've seen people say no, it's a Pokeball, but I've seen people say,
definitely the S.
I am in the camp that they do not connect, like what you're saying, that it's an S and that they do not connect. But the issue is that it's like it's a small part of a screenshot of a trailer, so
also
you can't really make it out.
Also, the Synchro Machine S is meant to be a Pokeball as well, so it's like.
Well, yeah, but like the symbol like doesn't connect. It doesn't make a full circle, and that's the debate. Is some people are saying like this does connect, this Pokeball does connect. I don't see it. I see it not connecting, but some people say they see it connecting. I don't.
We shall see.
It's open to interpretation.
How in the world it will be implemented, but
I say that to say the reason I brought it up is just because like you said, Soul, they were playing around with the idea of a person and a Pokemon switching. Or at least a person becoming a Pokemon in X and Y. Then they set it up in the last thing we got, the Blueberry Academy DLC. They set it up and they specifically make a point to go, oh, this is only a prototype right now. Well, it makes sense that that's a hint to something to come, and the next thing to come is Legends EA. So I definitely see the connections there. There was...
just while you're doing that, they just did that in the anime as well. Like Roy and Crocolore swapped bodies, which is like a really weird thing for the anime to do. And then Liko and Florigato tried to do it, and the machine broke, so they won't be able to do it anymore.
Wow.
So that's like, it's kind of like, oh, we just teased it a little bit, and maybe it'll come back.
But and it's interesting because they've been very loose with what they've chosen to adapt from the games and bring into these. So it's interesting that they did decide we want to do the synchro machine, you know?
Yeah.
Some other just interesting plot stuff that I guess you could say could somehow come up is that originally AZ looked like Sycamore and was Sycamore's ancestor, not Lysander's.
Yeah, dude, that's cool.
So he's not Lysander's ancestor. He's his brother was the ancestor of Lysander. So
he's related though.
He's a
relative
times like 1,000 uncle.
Did you already talk about that? Like AZ was the bad guy?
Yeah, I was about to get to that. That was my next point, was that
Yeah.
he was originally planned to be the villain of X and Y. His goal was he wanted to use the ultimate weapon to kill everybody that was not his descendants, and he wanted only his descendants to be alive.
Yeah, very evil.
So still genocide.
Still very bad, yes.
They very much, the first thing they knew about Kalos was they were like, we're going to do genocide in this game.
Jeez. I know.
We're gonna kill everyone.
Insane.
The villain, we're not
that's pretty
doing villains
villainous.
who are taking Pokemon. We're doing a villain who wants to commit mass murder.
Yeah.
Also kind of interesting. This may be nothing. You know, I'm with the lore stuff. I'm so careful to kind of like take any of it as
it's not
anything.
It's not canon. It's just like
it's not canon, and not only that, but Game Freak made a conscious decision to go, this is not in the final game.
Yeah.
And one thing is that
that's separate from like when we're talking about like concept locations, concept Pokemon, those might have been scrapped just because, like we discussed earlier, they said, they changed their plan and say like we need to focus on another game, so let's scrap this. But plot stuff. Like, we have a plot, we have a story, we have events in the timeline. So I still think it's important to just note out that those the things that happen in the game, that's canon, that's actually real. If we need to, we can look at some other stuff to maybe think about what could happen.
We see that AZ was supposed to be Sycamore's ancestor, and they go, nope, he's related to Lysander, not Sycamore. So there was and they even changed his design so it doesn't look like
which
Sycamore.
Makes more sense. They're both evil.
Right, and there's a conscious effort to go, no, these are, this is not the canon.
Yeah.
And then like another example I think of is like there was this diagram that like showed like basically the gods of Pokemon, and it included like the legendaries up to Gem 4, but then they didn't make that canon because you have in Gen 6, you have basically the god of life and death in these games. And it wouldn't have been featured on that. So they don't make it canon, because if you make something lore related, if you make something that heavy canon, you now run the risk of having to follow that canon. And Game Freak's always been very loose with lore so that they're not constantly retconning themselves. And so they can expand rather than go ahead and set their borders and say, okay, now everything we do has to be between these parameters.
I will say there's a difference between those two things though. Like, so some of this you can just count out as like they cut it and it's not canon or anything. But then other parts of it, like the creation lore, is more so Game Freak doesn't like to put everything in the game, but they might have that as canon in their own heads. Like, like that is the background of the Pokemon world or a region or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
it's stuff that like helps them.
They don't put it in the game. They don't put it in the game because they want the fans to interpret it in their own way. You know what I mean? But it still is like the background lore still
absolutely,
exists.
man.
Yeah, for the record, I wasn't referring to the like lore story of how the world was created with like Arceus fighting giants. I was more referring to that like diagram you see.
And
I'm talking about ruins.
I'm talking about generally as well. Like they leave it mysterious, but now that we know the backgrounds, like that's what they came up with. So like that's what they think about it. Like so they are the creators of it also. Like it's like they're where the authority comes from in that aspect. But then with like AZ, obviously that is not canon because they changed directly like whose line he is. So like he's not part of Sycamore's line, even if he used to be. That's like something that's cut. That's completely different.
But even with the lore, like while it is what they think, I think it is also important to note, like with the creation of the world lore specifically, that is what they think. or at least what they thought 15 years ago. You know,
it's still not canon. It's still not canon.
But what I was gonna bring up about this was that in the Great War flashback, there's a scene in the game where you go down into this basement. AZ's in a cage. Not sure how they got him in there, by the way, because he's like a giant. But whatever,
why
they got him in a cage.
Giant? I want to know why.
You know what? His team sucks.
Energy.
That's how they got him in there.
But, his team sucks, so they just beat him up.
They just literally like he's like Torkoal, and they're like what? No, but
water.
He basically tells you the story of the Great War, and they give you like the cinematic flashback. Interestingly enough, in the original cinematic flashback, Giratina and Heatran were fighting on one side of the war, which are like two
why people freaked out about that, but I was like, so what?
And also I don't think there's anything to freak out about it too, because they specifically went, oh no, don't put Giratina and Heatran. Like it's basically the same screenshot, but they removed Giratina and Heatran and replaced it with something, which to me is like almost as good as a retcon. But I wanted to point out because Giratina is, Poke-Satan, so I think it's worth noting.
The war of good versus evil was happening. Little did we know.
I'm trying to hit all the points, but if y'all have any more to say about that before I talk about some features that
keep
were
going.
scrapped.
This is interesting.
Okay. That's kind of all the plot stuff.
Heatran.
But there were some features that were cut, so you could easily go, okay, well, if these were Kalos features, maybe these will pop up in Legends CA.
Sure.
First, you were supposed to be able to build your gyms like Oris. Since these are Legends games, I don't think we'll be seeing that. Diving was a feature, and we've talked about this a little bit, but even in Scarlet and Violet, there is I think it's evidence of a potential diving feature. Koraidon and Miraidon have a specific sound effect for when they submerge underwater, which is interesting. So maybe we'll go diving in the sewers, and we can access other parts of the sewers by diving under the water.
I mean, that sounds nasty to dive in a sewer, but I agree with you.
It'll be clean. Game Freak's not going to be like, this is poop everywhere.
Yeah, so what that is essentially, I had a whole conversation on stream with Hoops and Hip Hop last night about just the concept of, future Pokemon games expanding the concept of ride Pokemon, fusing it with the HMs, which they already have a little bit. But if ride Pokemon originated in Kalos, it would make sense for them to, bring, to just really lean into this feature. We saw it in Arceus. These specific Pokemon that we were able to access and utilize to control and to traverse the region. I would love to see this return, and even expanded to dive, right, to waterfall, to whatever else they might think is appropriate for the region, right? I think I'm thinking of the ride Pokemon in X and Y, right? We have Mamoswine and Gogoat and I don't know. Rhyhorn, and some of those might not be needed for Lumio City, but there might be some that are, right? Maybe there's an electronic Pokemon that helps us solve puzzles, right? With the technology within the region, right?
Yeah.
Like you ride around in a Magnezone, that'd be sick.
Right. They also have, on the note of different ride features, there's diving. Also, soaring was apparently initially planned for these games. Not only was soaring planned for these games, but it actually kind of makes you make sense of why sky battles are a thing. And also, apparently, this is how you were originally supposed to get the Kanto birds at X and Y, was by flying in the air and hunting them down in the air.
Fly over the holes region, basically.
Right. And
it's crazy.
Since this is the region with sky battles, Dusty, you're always bringing this up, how if Legends Arceus is Breath of the Wild, Legends EA is Tears of the Kingdom, you have the, base level of Hyrule, the underground of Hyrule, and the skies of Hyrule.
Dude, I could see it.
Again, Kalos sky battle. I mean, it just makes sense. I really hope we're able to, fight Pokemon up there. Get on my Mega Pidgeot, fly up there, find a Noivern, battle it in the air. Yeah. I'm all for it.
And this image right here, this is what was found in the leak, where it's literally a mock-up. You have a 3DS. There's a map of... Well, I guess this is an early version of...
It's a Minecraft map.
Yeah,
made by a user.
There's a Minecraft map of Hoenn. This is how they conceptualized soaring. I guess it was in ORAS. And then it's literally just a picture of Latios from, I think, one of the Ranger games. But, yeah, this is so cool to see how they
it was
conceptualized
made
this.
by, the user Bidoof King on Reddit. So like Game Freak didn't make a Minecraft map of Hoenn.
No, they just took it from a fan.
Game Freak found on Reddit some guy made a Minecraft map and was like,
which is cool.
Use that.
Maybe they're using one of our podcasts right now to inspire, a new.
They're using our podcast right now to trace our
feature.
IP addresses and send a ninja after us. Is what they're doing.
So cool, man. So cool. I would love to soar in X and Y. That'd be awesome.
Then Rhyhorn racing was supposed to be a thing. You were supposed to be able to use Pokemon moves as kind of it was supposed to like the comparison that I keep seeing be made is like Mario Kart. Like you were even supposed to be able to race them online. So, maybe they'll do Rhyhorn racing is something I always think of with Kalos because they put it in like the lore, even though you never do Rhyhorn racing, it's in there. Your mom is a famous Rhyhorn racer.
It's part of the lore.
Right. So, Rhyhorn racing could always come back. Then there was supposed to be an egg hatching facility. Breeding wasn't even a thing in Legends Arceus, so it may not even be a thing in Legends EA, but, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
There were different types of battles, fashion battles, where you were able to dress up your Pokemon and then have them battle.
That's cool. I like that so much because growing up watching the contests in the anime, that was the aspect that was always most interesting to me. It's essentially just a different battle format. Like it's like Sky Battles. It's a type of battling that just has some different rules, right?
Right.
It's like maybe the moves actually like the move different. Like maybe the beauty attribute of your like beauty moves are super effective against tough moves, and tough moves are super effective against smart moves.
Well, it could have even been a thing of like, I don't know. You can dress them as a knight and that'll lower their speed but raise their defense.
Yeah.
Like it have like a stat effect. There were also terrain battles, which are like there were 6-on-6 battles where every few turns the terrain would change, like grassy terrain, electric terrain. I don't necessarily think that would pop up here. And then there were AR battles. Again, don't think this will pop up here, but that's basically where like right now, Dusty, if you were here in my studio, you and I could battle, and on our 3DS, it would show my office with my Bulbasaur right there battling your Charmander. Dude. Right? Like it looked like we're battling in the room,
Yeah, I don't think that fits with Legends EA, but I like that. I like that feature.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's interesting to go. Game Freak was playing with this, so maybe it won't be in ZA, but is this something we could see?
What that communicates to me is like, the PSS feature, even the X Transceiver and Gen 5, and like all of these, every single like Pokedex / like phone apparatus that a player has in a Pokemon game over the last decade has kind of mirrored what a cell phone is in modern day. And I could see the idea being like, okay, well, when I'm battling people over Wi-Fi, you don't want to be showing, having it tied to a camera. That's just distracting. But the idea that like you're almost like bridging the gap from like, oh, we're playing a game to no, we're playing in real life together, right? That's really cool.
And then the last feature, and I doubt we'll see this just because there's not even like the Rhyhorn racing is interesting because there's still like remnants of that in Kalos. Like we said, it's in the lore. There is nothing in Kalos that remains from this, but the replacement for contests was planned to be circuses. You would build your own circuses, complete with their own mini games.
I hate it all.
I definitely don't really care, but I think it sounds well. And also, that's like really vague, right? Like that sounds that I can very easily see that like sounding like something cool. But guys, let's face it, it's Game Freak. It probably wasn't anything. Crazy.
Just one of those little mini games that they put in it that nobody does.
Yeah. Well, and people think like, oh, we get to make our own mini games, but it's like, no, you probably have 3 different mini games, and you can just choose which Pokemon's doing it. And they're calling that make your own. But that's it for the features. I love the different concept arts though. There's lots of different areas. I don't know, maybe the big one I would say of the concept arts is the Lumio sewers, or the sewers of Paris rather.
No, that is really cool, man. I would love to see something like that in the game.
Also the Lumios power plant and the Anastar City sundial. It looks crazy. And it also has 2 Arceus. It has 2 Arceus in front of it. Statues, which is just like more godly. You know what I mean? Like more divine.
Some of these locations look straight out of like Dune or something. Like this looks like this bridge up here is out of like Middle Earth. You know, it's really cool.
Ship graveyard.
It's really cool to see these locations, and from the artist's mind, they are really trying to flesh out, you know, the Pokemon world as a fantasy region. That's how I'm starting to just look at the Pokemon world. You know.
Well, like really the bridge has like a creature depicted on it, so you can automatically, like, you know how Pokemon fans are. We see a statue of something that's not Pokemon, we're like, new Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, and new Pokemon.
It really does, dude. That's crazy. Some sort of like dragon winged creature.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all my notes. As you can see, X and Y had about 1 billion things ranging from Pokemon to plot to features to locations that just didn't make the cut.
Yeah, man.
What stands out to y'all to like that, like, you know, and maybe your answer is none of it, but what stands out to y'all is like, I could really see this appearing in ZA.
What about you, Soul?
Oh, in ZA.
Yeah, because I think that's what we're trying to like kind of grasp at, right? What could we see in Legend ZA? Because it's all cool to look at this, and I think the biggest limitation for me is like, while these ideas are great, and I was defending it earlier, it is disappointing, right? It is like, okay, these things are great, but we're probably not going to see them in Legends ZA because of the limitation of it just being in the city. I do think the game's gonna look beautiful, and it's gonna stand on its own merits. But yeah, it does make me feel like, shoot, will we ever get a X and Y remake or a sequel? That could potentially have some of these locations fleshed out a bit more. I don't know. I think it's really nice to see, like, you know, these concept arts, right? We see these concept arts and they're beautiful. They're to scale. They look realistic, and then we end up with like these chibi versions in a 3DS game, and our minds limit that imagination to whatever we see in the 3DS games. But the reality is like, it's these places are supposed to be as realistic as this concept art, as realistic as we see in the anime, right? So while we are limited to Legends ZA is going to be limited to just Lumio City, I do think it's going to be pretty enriching, right? It's going to be like I don't know. It's going to be super detailed.
To me, I think the biggest thing that has like a hint to it is maybe the Synchro machine.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of. Like, I don't know if anything else from this cut stuff will make it back. Oh, there was one other theory that I actually posted online, obviously on Twitter. Was just that there was like a virus Pokemon kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was like a virus Pokemon.
The ultimate weapon was originally a virus.
Mm-hmm. So the ultimate weapon was originally a virus, and it like kind of could be a counterpart Pokemon to Zygarde, because Zygarde's like cells, and if this is like a virus, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be far down there, Dusty. I don't know where you find it.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you keep scrolling, you will find it. But
explain it. That's cool. I haven't seen.
Yeah,
this.
it's just basically, there's a picture of like a little virus-like Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
That is like the ultimate weapon. It looks like
Deoxys too.
Yeah, we don't know what it was used for. There you go.
I think it was up. It was up.
Yep. But yeah, I just.
Oh, this thing. Wow.
Yeah, you can read like what the translation is even.
Let's see. So where's the translation? A cell Pokemon
on the picture.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, I see. So okay, This is concept art. There's like a little crazy man alien thing. Oh, these are its eyes. I thought these were its eyes over here, but those little dots of the eyes. It looks like a little vampire. Yeah. It says virus, microbe, shimmer in red. The monster becomes strengthened by the virus, uncontrollably powerful. However, it is not the monster controls the virus, but the virus has taken over the monster. The monster is nothing more than a vehicle of the virus now. The enemy's ultimate weapon.
Mega Parasect confirmed.
Yeah, dude.
Basically, we're talking about like the A legendary that we're all supposing. It could be the virus, or it could be a virus that infects a Zygarde. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's like 2 Zygardes, or like
which we've theorized about that too. And in the anime, there is like a red version of a Zygarde.
And they could have used this even for the anime, to be honest, because it is very similar.
Like that. I do kind of like that. I don't know if it's right, but I do think.
Yeah, no, it's just a theory.
No. The theory is cool. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know if it's correct, like the correct line of thought, but like, I do feel like Game Freak, like, kind of scapegoats a lot of the evil villains to just like, oops, you know the error of your way, now you're a good guy, right? And I do think I could see it where they're like, no, Lysander, like if this is like a sequel to X
you
and Y.
can't commit genocide.
Or no, they'd be like, no, Lysander, you were mistaken for hating all of civilization because of who they are, right? I could see Game Freak writing a story where they're like, you were infected by the virus. It's the Pokemon's fault. You're a good boy. And then they blame it all on this A-legendary, right? I could
actually
see that
would be kind of hilarious if they freaking like practically retcon it to go like, Lysander did try to commit genocide.
Yeah, but he's a good boy. That's my son. My son would never do anything wrong. I don't know. They already do that with Lysander. They already do that with Lysander.
The virus Pokemon.
They don't do that with Lysander. They've been very Poke Hitler's bad, you know?
Yeah.
I think
No,
I don't know. I feel like Lysander, like what does he go to jail? Does anything happen?
No, he's presumed dead. And there's different iterations of it. In the games, what happens is the ultimate weapon collapses, he's down there, you assume that he's dead because they're like, there's no way someone could survive this, but you know the rule, no body, no death.
Yeah.
And then in the anime, Bonnie freaking kills him.
Wow, that's epic. That's sick.
Yeah, she tells her Zygarde, she's like, use Core Enforcer.
Dude, that's
on him.
awesome.
And he freaking uses Core Enforcer on Lysander and blows him up. And then Bonnie has the highest kill count of any character in the anime. Fun fact.
That's crazy.
In the manga has the most metal one as usual, and that is that Lysander achieves immortality, but gets trapped underground under the ultimate weapon. So he is essentially buried alive for life.
Wow,
he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy to get the.
Well, I could see.
So they gave him a very villain's fate. Like they were like, good. You know, we're not gonna justify genocide. This guy sucks. You know,
I could see them resurrecting Lysander through the virus. Like the virus almost like it crashes to Earth and revives him in some way, right? I could see something like that happening.
Sure.
And I'm imagining the fusion between, you know, how Lysander has all those like, he has all that mech technology.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining a similar type of villain to the Nihilego fusion with Lusamine in Sun and Moon.
Right. You know, that's another thing too, is that virus very well could have been like reworked into Nihilego, because you figure Sun and Moon's a gen after.
Wow, true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, dude, honestly, just Ultra Beasts in general.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's cool. Well, that's a different theory for another day.
The only other
thing is the vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing that I'm thinking about from these leaks that could come into Legends EA is just the megas that we heard of as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Which is just Jynx and Flygon, right?
No, I mean the other two.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but that's not cut content. We aren't doing the leaks here.
No, but it is cut content, kind of.
It wasn't cut from X and Y.
No.
In fact, we don't know that it was cut content. It's planned content. We don't know if it was cut or not.
Planned content.
But it's planned for ZA.
My prediction is the thing that I know
it's currently Schrodinger's Mega Evolutions.
It was cut from Pokemon Horizons.
Yeah.
Sure. Good point. Yeah. So, Lumi, do you have anything that you like really want for Legends EA?
That I really want? I have so many things that I'm not going to bore you with them all because we'd be here till 12 o'clock. But the things that stand out to me in this to reappear are the lost my train of thought. The concept art of the Lumio sewers is an immediate one. I mean, that's obvious. That's an easy answer.
Dude, give us a regional form of the little alligator or the little crocodile that was in the Castel or in the Paris sewers, right?
Yeah.
Give us a Kalosian. Dude, yes, dude. Give us a.
We still don't know who the starters are.
Give us a legendary form of crocodile, like a 1-of-1 Blood Moon type crocodile. You just capture it as a fully formed crocodile. It's got a water type. It's like it's all screwed up. It's a legendary. That would be so sick. I'm calling that right now. That has to happen.
Well, actually, I mean, it could happen, but crocodile, we do know crocodile's in the game as its regular form.
Good. Well, then the other one could. It's just one of them.
Could it very well, yeah.
Sewers.
Yep. But yeah, I think I don't know.
Or maybe it's a for alligator.
Mega Jynx, I could see happening just because, like, I don't think it'll be that design. But Mega Jynx, I could see happening just because it was something that was planned. I know a lot of people go to Flygon, but honestly, because they talked about Flygon, because Game Freak's so iffy with that stuff, right? Like, when it's, like, public knowledge, they're like, no. So I almost kind of wonder if the fact that they've talked about how they scrapped a Flygon Mega, like, if that's actually a point against them doing a Flygon Mega.
It probably is.
The only thing is that they know
how much the fans want Flygon, though. That's the difference, is that they know how much we want it, and they do listen in that sense.
I know it's a meme, but I have said for a while now, I don't think Mega Charizard Z's unlikely.
Yeah.
I don't think it's probable, just because, I'm imagining there'll be a different set of starters, and I think there's a chance those get Megas. I think there's a chance the Kalos stars get Megas, but, like, next in line would be Charizard. Not in who deserves it, but in who will get it.
Yeah.
And maybe then just some of the features, like, I don't know, diving, soaring, and the Rhyhorn racing. I don't necessarily think that those exact things will be in there, except for maybe soaring. But I do think that kind of just shows us that, like, Kalos is a very big riding Pokemon region, and I think that riding Pokemon will be more prevalent in ZA than it will be in Arceus. Like at least in, like, a range, like, instead of just me climbing walls with Sneasler, maybe I can do it with 3 different Pokemon and kind of get a choice of it.
And those feel way more tangible as gameplay elements. So yeah, I'm totally on board. And they also feel representative of the Kalos region. 3 regions, Kalos, Alola, and Hisui are like ride Pokemon regions for me. But dude, yeah. This is so much fun. Like, it's so great to get all of this new
You could
info.
have a flash Pokemon, like you're in the sewers, it's dark, so I need a Pokemon that I have out to light it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, some of those locations, I really think we could see the sewers tied to Lumiose City, but then also the power plant. That's I think we could definitely see that. Because again, it's the Lumiose power plant. So I can see that. Awesome, man.
Yep.
Well, let's thank our sponsors.
Yes, of course. We have a lot of sponsors, and they're all amazing. Every single one of you that supports the show, y'all rock. But we want to give a special shout out to our mythical tier supporters: Hayden Segal, Ryan Amphosinus, Cornet Highlander, Tyler Low 15, Primal Gray, Case Stills, Sully the Skeleton, Travis Mashburn, Matt Hale, and the Pokekiddo 1. We want to give a giant shout out to our Arceus tier supporters: Young, Smokey, Red, and Hayes. And we want to give a Gigantamax size shout out. We're returning the Pokemon. We're throwing the Dynamax Pokeball to our Game Freak Geek supporters, Drogain and Bramtastic. Thank you all so much.
Thank you guys for all the continued support. We got a comment on one of our recent videos, and it was like, how are you guys uploading so frequently this last 2 weeks? And the answer is, it's people like you. It's all of you supporters who are backing us, who are putting the money where your ears are, right? You guys like this show. You want to support the show. You want to be part of the community, and you want to make sure this thing's around for a long time to come. You guys are making it happen more so than ever.
We're in the biggest official news drought of all time, and we're surpassing
soon to be over.
And we are surpassing goals. We are at the best point of our podcast thus far, and I know it'll continue to grow. It all just shows that we're continuing to grow. And for the record, that's honestly, that's not even because of the Terra League. Like, you could say, oh, well, the Terra League's been big, so it's fueling it. We've been growing so what's the right word? Consistently. Yes. We've been growing so consistently well before the Terra League. These last 3 months have just seen exponential growth, and the Terra League's only been here for a few weeks now. So, yeah. I mean, it's seriously,
it's been so
guys,
much fun,
y'all
man.
rock.
And also just to be able to, like, because this is something where I get, like, a little emotional. Dude, we got the best voicemail the other day by someone in the community. Like, it was, like, 3 minutes long, just gushing about how, like, Pokemon has changed his life and is, like, whatever. Anyways, and I'm like, me too. I'm like, me too. But I think for me, what has been so cool about this moment right now with the Game Freak Terra League, right, is that things like this have happened in the past before we had this community, and it's felt fun, and it's, you know, you find where people, you know, you're always going to find a way to chat about it with people, but to actually have so many of you to talk to this about live on stream, right, in the secret Discord, just you guys being able to talk about this week to week has made this feel so much just better and more fulfilling. So, like, this isn't the only event. Like, we started this podcast after Scarlet and Violet came out, but, like, and you know, we've had some DLCs, we've had some fun times, but like just think about it, guys. Like, this was a historical week, but think about when Legends ZA comes out. Think about when the next game comes out the year after that.
Dude, think about
Switch 2, Generation 10.
Think about next week.
I cannot wait.
Week.
Oh,
dude,
my gosh.
And there's so much to come.
Think about next week.
Yeah, literally next week when we finally get a trailer.
I am a believer.
So thank you guys for all the continued support. It's beyond support. Here's the thing. We keep hitting our goals, and you guys are getting the live streams, which I think you guys are liking a lot. But guess what? As soon as the Terra League coverage dies down, I'm just gonna roll right into some stuff that we've been meaning to do for a long time, which is play Pokemon Snap, and a lot of other stuff that we want to do that we just haven't had the push for. But you guys are funding us, and it's more feasible than ever.
Well, what's funny is, like, it's not even that we haven't had the push for it. We had so much planned. Yeah. We had so much planned, and then some moron decided to hack a terabyte of info from Game Freak.
Oh my gosh. I want to plug two more things. One is, this is last year's holiday card. This is last year's holiday card that we sent out to every single supporter last year, right? Every single paid supporter got one of these physical cards shipped to their house. They're all numbered, right? This one's 1 of 100. You can't see it, but these are like collectibles, right? Little holiday note, original art. This is so great. Why am I showing this? It's because we have another one cooking up for 2024. Brand new art. It's on the way. Brand new art, brand new message, brand new card. If you Lumi, what's the plug? What's the technical terms? Lumi's my lawyer. I don't want to be saying things out of turn.
I do. I often feel like, you know, like the PR guy, like, Dusty, you weren't supposed to say that.
That's technically incorrect.
Someone get the sniper on Dusty. So we're doing this for our box legendary tiers and up. If you need the monetary value, that's the $10 tiers and up. You have to be you have to be box legendary or up in the month of November, because we're gonna start keeping track of it November 1st. However,
that means
at the time of recording it's October 24th. Don't know when Dusty's posting this, but you can sign up right now in October, and you will be, because memberships run for a month, you will be counted. I will November 1st count it. Sign up for that tier.
And send us your address.
Email us at hiddenpowerpodcast@gmail.com. Your address, and let me know what your YouTube or Patreon name is too, so that I can match the person.
Because we gotta write your name. My lovely
like your
wife
email
will be writing your
might
name
be
on this.
John Brown, but then your YouTube name is I Hate Lettian 449. You know, I don't know.
If that's actually you, then
no, don't
we're
say
not sending you a card. But you know, so send your address. You can either do it at hiddenpowerpodcast@gmail.com, or do it, you can send it to me, LumiosePost, via DMs on Discord. If you want to, you can DM it to Dusty or Soul, but I'm keeping track of it. So if you send it to Dusty, he's just going to send it to me. And if you send it to Soul, he's not going to look at it until a month later, and then he's going to send it to me. So just don't even consider sending it to Soul.
I will see it. I just won't send it to Lumi for a month.
You can DM us on Twitter also if that's convenient for you. But the email is that's most convenient for us, just because it's all cataloged.
Do not post your address in the comments.
Please do not do that. Yeah.
And
there was one guy who did it last year, and I had to delete it.
Yeah, but
of course, naturally.
Oh, did that really happen?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't do that.
You undoxed him.
But anyways,
man literally was just like 449 Mulberry Lane, and I was like, no.
So this art this was us just chilling inside on a winter day. But the art that we got cooking is by a really talented artist. His name's Mark. I think it's Avila.
Avila.
Mark
I may have heard of him
on Twitter. Stuff's incredible.
So good.
Super surreal.
Go check out his work, and that kind of gives you a sneak peek at what
it's probably
our thing will look like.
It might be the best fan art I've ever seen.
My guy knows what he's doing.
It's incredible.
He did, for context, my my profile picture was done by Mark Avila for both LumiosePost and for Lumiose Tower.
Let me just Mark Avila. I'm just hanging out now. Mark Avila. Oh my gosh, dude! This literally is the coolest art I've ever seen in my whole life. It's this man.
He's been doing art for a long time.
This man right here. Let's see. The one that I always think about that is so dynamic.
He drew Willem Dafoe.
Did he really? Where? This?
I was joking because there was an image.
Oh
of
wow!
Willem.
Yeah, this is him.
Willem Dafoe's not a real person. Mark created that.
So this is like the art that I'm thinking about. This is incredible. So it's gonna be a double battle between us three. Lumi's got 2 Pokemon on us. Obviously.
You're revealing too much.
And there's gonna be. I'm not saying the Pokemon. It's gonna be somewhere very related to this year. It's gonna be. There's gonna be Easter eggs. There's gonna be and that your address is gonna be handwritten anywhere in the world. We sent one of these out to Dr. Lava last year. He was in China. He got it. Anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world.
Really
if you support us, we got you.
Edit in a red dot on your forehead as you're talking about this.
No, yeah, that'd be so funny. Dude, I think I just want to commission some art. Look at this. I think I just want to commission some art for myself. But anyways, if you want to support the show, that's how you can do it. And also, we have a sale right now on our merch store. Use code GHOST at checkout for $5 off your order. You can get any of our Halloween merch, any of our merch, period. Hidden Legacy, the Dream Eater line, anything you want, even some classic stuff. $5 off your order. That's right now in the description. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. That was a super fun discussion. Let us know in the comments, what you want for Legends ZA, and go check out all 10 other podcasts we did over the last 2 weeks. Man,
you got the content, man. And nobody can say that we need to put out more right now.
Yeah, I mean,
there is more to do. Put out less.
I need to play some Pokemon Snap. I'm excited to do that. That'll be probably next week, maybe this weekend.
You do.
All right, guys.
You've had the game for about a year now.
Thank you guys for watching. Double salute. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.